Let's talk about skills and strategies 5 from your textbook point of view. A lot of times, writers don't just talk about their own opinion about a topic. Sometimes they present a point of view that's commonly held by many people or by a group of people. And then they present their own opinion or another opposite point of view. And then writers usually explain why one point of view is preferable. It's important for you to understand point of view in the reading so that you can understand what the true point that the author is trying to make is. A lot of times, authors do this. It's called giving a counter argument. Authors will talk about what the general idea is, the common view, what most people think, and then they'll introduce their own ideas or their evidence to prove why that common view might not be correct. So let's look at an example here. The first sentence here talks about differences in healthcare problems, and you might see this word assumption. Well, assumption is what we call a view marker. In other words, that tells the readers that this information is an opinion, not a fact. It introduces what the common view is or what most people think. Some markers are more neutral than others. Belief is pretty neutral, but assumption has kind of a negative meaning, usually that it's a mistaken opinion or an inaccurate opinion. Then look at what the author does next. The author uses a contrast marker. However, this tells the reader that the writer is disagreeing with what's said in the first sentence. And in fact, the writer even goes further and uses this word mistaken, an assessment marker. The writer is judging the belief that's mentioned in the first sentence, the common view. In this case, it's negatively judging the view that's expressed in the first sentence. And then what follows is the author's actual view. And you can recognize this because you see these words for emphasis, in fact, and reality. Emphasize that this is really what the author believes. And then sentence 4 is just an example to show support of the writer's point of view. Well, how can you recognize view markers, contrast markers, assessment markers? There are lovely charts on the next page of your textbook. So this is on page 85 of your textbook to help you be able to identify view markers that will tell you what the common view is, contrast markers that will help you transition to the author's point of view, and assessment markers. These are words that show negative opinions about the common view. So they indicate either approval or disapproval, and mostly disapproval in the case of this chart. So notice that the view markers, there are both verbs and nouns that will tell you that something is a point of view. Some are kind of negative, assumption, but some, like belief, are just really pretty neutral, or idea, impression. Contrast markers, some of these you probably already remember, but just to remind you, but, however, in theory, ... in practice, on the other hand, yet, there's lots of other contrast markers too. Maybe you can think of some, but these are a good start here in this chart. And then finally, assessment markers, words that show judgment, approval or disapproval of the common view. And there are a few nouns and then also adjectives here that you can use to show disapproval. All right, in summary, a few things to keep in mind. Look for the view markers. Those help you identify the common view. In other words, what most people believe. Those are opinions, not facts. Then identify the contrast marker. This tells you where that first view ends. So you know that the writer will soon start talking about the real position in the text. And then look for assessment markers. Those will also help you to identify the opposing view because they judge the opposing view. All right, before we finish, let's just take a look at some of the homework, the practice exercises that you'll have. Here in the first exercise, skill practice 1, you're looking for points of view. You're trying to identify what the common view is. So here they underline the point of view marker and then highlight what the common view is. Conclude is the point of view marker, and then political oppression is increasing in some parts of the world. That is the common view. So here, let's do the next one together. Go ahead and pause your video, look at number 2, read it, and try and decide what you think is the view marker. Look back on that chart and the previous page if you need to, and then what is the common view? Okay, that was great. Did you think that believe was the view marker? If you did, you are correct. Believe is the view marker. That's one of the ones on your chart on the previous page. So what is it that people believe? In other words, what is the common view? Programs are helping the economy to recover. Okay. Let's take a quick look at skill practice 2. So skill practice 2, you're going to be looking for the contrast and the assessment markers, and then also identifying the common view. So they've done the first one for you. You should recognize that however is a contrast marker. And then you might not know it, but go back and look at your chart if you need to. No longer valid, valid, or not valid. That's an assessment marker. And if you weren't sure, I know you don't have to do this, but if you're not sure what the common view is, look for those view markers, right? The point of view markers, like belief is a view marker. So if you weren't sure, or view, right? This view. Remember continuing idea markers. This view is referring back to belief. So you would know that those words are referring to the common view, and you can highlight cardiovascular disease as a problem only in affluent societies. All right, let's look at number 2 together. Sorry, it's on 2 different pages, so we'll kind of have to go here over 2 pages. So we're looking for the contrast marker and the assessment marker, and then the common view. So go ahead and pause the video, take a few moments, and see if you can figure that out on your own for number 2. Wow, that was fast. Great job. Okay, so hopefully you noticed that however is the contrast marker here. And then maybe you had to go back to the page with the charts to find the assessment marker. If you did, that's okay. Hopefully you noticed that flawed is the assessment marker here. So we're talking about this analysis, okay? This analysis, and you didn't have to highlight that, but I'm going to highlight it because that's a continuing idea marker. This analysis. So what analysis are we talking about? Well, we're talking about what was argued, right? That's the analysis, what was argued. So then that means that the common view is what was argued. And what they argued was overpopulation in developing nations was one of the main causes of widespread poverty. So that's our common view. So however is the contrast marker, flawed is the assessment marker, and overpopulation in developing nations was one of the main causes of widespread poverty. That is the common view. Go ahead and try the rest of the exercises on your own, and then when you finish that, go ahead and try skill practice 3. Now, I'm not going to do one of these with you, but you're looking for everything. You're looking for view markers, you're looking for contrast markers, assessment markers, and you're looking for the common view and the writer's point of view. When you're done, check the answer keys that are posted on D2L. If you have any questions, please post to the questions asked and answered discussion board or send me an email. Good luck.